Crowhill here. Today we review a pale ale and discuss censorship. Hey, good evening, Pigweed. Good to see you.
Good evening, Crowhill. How about some beer and conversation?
Well, that sounds like a good idea. So what are we drinking?
Well, this is a pale ale.
Yeah.
It's a single hop pale ale
Okay.
with a New Zealand hop.
Okay, and what is the hop?
I'll tell you later.
Okay. Okay. So it's a single hop, which is interesting because usually you get a blend of different hops in a beer. And when you have the single hop beer, you get a taste of what that particular hop tastes like.
Exactly.
Yeah,
What's on your mind?
Lovely aroma there. What's on my mind is, I before you got here, Chesterton came up and told me this little story. Apparently last week, we said something.
In the pub here.
In the pub
where
here.
we are.
Yeah, we're
clearly are.
Yeah, and in the pub, we said something, and some guy, a few seats down, was all upset about it, and talked to Chesterton and said, hey, tell those guys to cut that out. And Chesterton told him to go soak his head because, we have a right to say...
Yeah, because, this is a free speech pub.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah, I know. Thank you, Chesterton. It's nice every once in a while when somebody does the right thing.
All right.
Yeah.
So what do you want to talk about?
Okay, well, what I want to talk about is that topic, censorship. I mean, we're not being censored here because Chesterton's got his head screwed on straight because a lot of censorship going on in the world today.
Okay, well, let's try this beer first.
Okay, good. I want to get into this.
There you go. Nice and clear. Got good, what are they called? Clarification.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? Clarifying.
Yeah, and a nice head. Wow, that's an interesting hop. It's got almost a winey flavor to it.
So this is there are those hop charts. It's like if your recipe calls for this hop and you can't find it, you might want to use this one.
Right.
This one says nothing. There is no substitution.
There is no substitution. This one's unique.
It's just they said if this is the flavor you want, this is the only flavor you're going to get, and it's called Nelson Sauvin, and with a nod towards Sauvignon, because the description is the hop tastes like white wine or gooseberries, which I don't know what they taste like.
Wow, I'm not sure I've had a gooseberry.
But there is something white winey about it.
For sure. It's also got a bit of a sharpness, almost a piney sharpness to it.
But yes, like you were saying, I like the idea of the single hop. I don't know if I would want to blend it with anything else. It's just its own thing. And I just like to say, in my many, many, many years of home brewing, only one time has Mrs. Pigweed said, "That's pretty good. I'll have one of those."
Oh, this is a home brew. You didn't tell me that.
Oh, sorry.
No, so this is
and keep that on the down low, because Chesterton comes over and realizes that
we're drinking.
I snuck in a home brew.
How did you get that extra beer?
Yeah.
I'm not sure he's going to be upset with us.
He's got our backs, as you can tell.
Well, we'll just maybe if he complains, we'll just give him a bottle.
Yeah. But it's it's the Golden Promise is the base malt,
right?
Which I don't know really what the difference is. It's supposed to be. It's a couple points darker in.
A lot of people like Golden Promise. I've been using this Viking to
instead of just your regular Breeze pale malt, and a touch of what's Vienna malt.
Vienna, right? Regular Vienna. Okay, yeah.
The light Munich.
Light Munich.
There's like a 10 Munich, and then there's a darker Munich.
Well, I like it. I'm liking this hop. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
It's an interesting flavor. Huh. Okay. And not a big white wine drinker, but just recently I've been actually drinking a little bit more white wine, and that's why it just kind of jumped out at me.
Yeah, I think that's a good description of what that hop tastes like. So, I was looking through my notes, and 2 years ago to this month, we did a show on censorship.
Okay. And
it was, just looking at my notes, it was censorship broadly and in the United States. And I thought, I've been noticing a lot of international censorship, so I thought we should revisit this topic.
Yeah, it seems to be breaking out all over the world,
yes.
And it's kind of
upsetting. Yes, because all the modern democracies. I mean, we don't expect China and Iran to have a problem with censorship. So you so good?
Well, we weren't recording any of that here, but we were recording it here.
All right.
So I can just use the audio from there and then break into this. Do you want to go with that, or do you want to re-record it? I think we're okay. We should have checked to make sure the levels were on here.
It's part of the
It's part of the pre-game check. But I think we're all right, because I think that recording is pretty good.
Okie dokie. So before we get into the actual international incidents and national incidents, instances, do you want to talk about rehash the broad topic?
Yeah, I think we should maybe try to establish some frameworks about why is free speech important to begin with.
Right.
And I think there are a lot of different ways to look at free speech, and one of them is how are you going to have new ideas if you don't allow people to contradict the prevailing wisdom? Like, for example, in the sciences, if people can't bring up new ideas, you're never going to get anywhere. You're going to get stuck with the same old thing over and over. So the idea of being able to bring a new idea into the conversation is how you have a competition, a marketplace of ideas, and how something rises to the top.
So if there's a serious event like a pandemic, you wouldn't want just one people controlling what people could say about said hypothetical pandemic.
That would be crazy. I mean, how could that ever happen?
No, because this is a serious matter where you need lots of voices to get to the bottom and the truth. So you can't have just people deciding these are the scientific views that we're allowed to have, and these are the others.
What kind of an anti-human person in the midst of a pandemic when people are dying would want to restrict conversations?
It's just this weird dystopian fantasy.
I see. Okay, you just had it in your head. Yeah. But so in that respect, we want a marketplace of ideas, so the best ideas can rise to the top. But also, I think the other important thing about free speech is to act as a restraint on government power.
Yes.
Because we don't want the government to be able to say, you can't criticize us, or you can't say anything.
That was the primary thought. Like every thing that the founding fathers did was filtered through how do we keep an eye on government, and that's maybe that's how it ended up at number one.
Yeah, that's right.
In our
Bill of Rights, and this ties in with a PNC principle that we discuss from time to time, which is you never want to give somebody a power that you wouldn't want your opposition to have, right?
Yeah.
So if you start to censor speech, then do you want the bad guys to have that ability to censor speech?
Yeah, because you're not always going to be in charge, and so you're like. I don't know, can we get to an example here?
Sure, yeah.
Gavin Newsom?
Okay.
Well, now that we have convincing AI satire and parody, that you can mimic the voice and even make the voice is dead on.
Yeah.
And you can even make the mouth move to match the voice.
Oh my goodness!
I mean, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Making fun of.
And however good it is now, it's going to be twice as good 2 weeks from now. Yeah.
2 weeks from now, yes. Yeah. There's a video of a parody video. Says the name of the account is Parody.
Okay.
Of Kamala Harris making a fool of herself.
Right.
And sort of, but.
Well, why would you need to make a parody video about that? There's plenty of real videos.
Well, you know what? That's a good point, because there were long sections of significance of the passage of time. There are long segments that is just really her. There are really few moments where they're making fun of her.
The children of the community are the children of the community.
Yes. So you don't really need to, but the fact that they did made Gavin Newsom so mad that he decided that even though the wheels of government turn very slowly and are designed to, he's able to come up with a bill in 3 weeks.
Wow.
Oh, just before the election. Oh, what do you see? So, but it's very specific.
But what does this bill do? It says you can't mock Kamala Harris? Is it that specific?
Almost. New policy targeting AI-generated fake political ads and materials that could mislead the electorate. This law, which took effect immediately, allows individuals to sue for damages if they have been harmed by deep fake content.
Now this is the sort of thing.
What in the F is
this is the sort of thing where if I were to say that some tin pot dictator in South America made a law saying that you can't say things that misinform the electorate, everybody would know that what that means is you can't say something against me.
Yeah.
Because you're misinforming the electorate.
Yeah.
Everybody would know that.
Or it's like it's a crime to insult the king of Thailand.
Right.
Because there's a king in Thailand and they don't have the kind of government that we have.
But for some reason, when an American makes a stupid law like this, we don't immediately jump to the same conclusion that because here's something that's going to misinform. What does Gavin Newsom? Who is he? The arbiter of misinforming the public?
Right. Is he going to handpick the Disinformation Council?
Yes, exactly.
Which is going to determine
whether this is misinforming people or not.
Yeah.
Who's going to make that decision? And that's the problem is that when you allow somebody to make that decision, there's always going to be bias. There's always going to be a slant in a certain direction. And that's what we want to avoid. We don't want anybody making that call and saying, no, you're misinforming people.
Well, exactly. Because today's misinformation is tomorrow's fact.
Yes.
And did you say how about
as we've seen repeatedly.
the thing that you sent me from the guy from Johns Hopkins who ran down that whole list of misinformation by the government during COVID?
Yes.
And
yes.
So
just one thing after another.
One thing after another. So what do we do now? Can we now turn around and jail all of the people who misinformed at the time? Oh, well, no, because they were well-intentioned.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, no. Actually,
well, that gets into the whole...
Actually, here it is. I don't know if this is this. Yeah. I think it's just fake political ads. So you can do fake any other kind of ads that you want.
But actually, that's a good question. Is the COVID stuff, is that political or is that scientific? Because it's related to a government policy. When they're saying everybody has to get the vaccine or whatever, then see, the thing is, everything can be cast as political at some level.
Sure.
But I wanted to go. You mentioned misinformation. I was looking up today. Misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation.
Oh, come on.
Which I know it's crazy, but what these words mean? Misinformation means it's false, but it's unintentional. You're spreading something that's false, but you didn't really know that it was false.
Right.
Disinformation is when you know it's false and you're intentionally spreading it. And then malinformation, here's the really good one. Malinformation is when it's true, but somehow spreading it would be harmful.
Ooh, that is the most insidious of all of them.
Yeah, exactly. And that would be something, I mean, if you were to try to put the most positive spin on that, let's say that a tsunami was about to hit the beach, and you knew that based on past experience, the tsunami would probably kill 1,000 people. But if you announced it and everybody ran away in fear, 3,000 people would be killed in the stampede. So that would be malinformation. It's true, but it's going to have a negative impact.
Right.
So there are at least conceptually situations where you could say something that's true, but it would be harmful. But still, I don't want the government making those kinds of calls and getting on people for saying things. I don't want them telling anybody, regulating anything anybody says.
No.
I mean, there are, of course, certain carve-outs. You can't yell fire in a crowded theater, and other kinds of classic things. But generally speaking, we don't want the government deciding what people can say.
So I think this has become an issue because of the internet and social media, right? If there's a guy on a corner handing out pamphlets of misinformation, you're not really that concerned about it.
Yeah,
it's just not really reaching that many people.
That's right.
This is why it's elevated to this level, and it has become, more dangerous, but we still need to recognize the threat of misaddressing the issue. Now, what you have are attacks on the social media. So Harris says her administration would hold social media platforms accountable for spreading hate. Well,
what does that
mean?
The
problem is you're the one deciding what hate is.
Exactly. Yeah, and
so hate is just if you argue against my policies,
you hate me.
Yeah,
that's hateful. Yeah,
hate is always defined by the recipient.
I know. Yeah, it's really ridiculous. Who was the quirky? There was this quirky Democrat guy who ran for president like every time around for 20 years, and I'm trying to remember his
libertarian.
Sort of. He was an odd dude, and anyway he
ran a lot. John Anderson
wasn't those guys. He was this weird dude. Anyway,
yeah.
some of his followers would be down.
Lyndon LaRouche.
LaRouche, that's the one. The LaRouches, yeah. So the LaRouches would be down at the Metro from time to time.
And that's what gave the name away.
Yeah, and that's they would try to hand out literature on this, and they would say the most outrageous things, just outrageously false, ridiculous things, just to get your attention, so that you'd enter into a dialogue with them, so that they could give you their literature. That was their shtick, you know. They would just say crazy stuff. And you would walk by, and usually you just walk by and laugh. You know, that was funny, that stupid thing. But that was their thing. Now, so under this new regime, is somebody going to come along and say that's disinformation? You can't say that anymore?
Yeah.
I mean, is that what we want? The LaRouches were nuts, but most people recognize that, and that's what you have to expect. You have to expect you have a populace that's somewhat smart enough to catch that. You know, these people are off their rocker and don't bother listening to them. So why are we now in a place where censorship is breaking out all over America and all over the world?
Yeah. Well, I think so. One is, like I mentioned, I think the technology allows for it to spread faster. Mm-hmm. But also, unlike the guy passing out pamphlets, you also the tools of government are right there and available. Mm-hmm. And so Hillary Clinton here. This is what Hillary calls for jailing people who disagree with her. I'm not sure if that's exactly right, but there needs to be a deterrence. Okay, here we go. Sure, for this dismissive way. Gosh, she's awful.
She is awful.
Sure, free speech is important, but hate speech and misinformation must be suppressed.
What does that mean?
There you get it again.
I know. What do you mean hate speech? Is it hate speech to say, gee, I'm not sure how Vince Foster died? Is that hate speech?
Yeah. A lot of people seem to die around you and your husband.
Yeah. Is that hate speech now?
Exactly. I mean, I'm sure she would find that hateful.
She probably finds that hateful. Or what if I say, gosh, you know, I'm not sure what you did with all those emails, but I don't think that was quite right. Is that hate speech?
Right.
Is that
How
misinformation?
About this? Do you think the world really needs a fourth memoir from Hillary Clinton?
That's hate speech. That's hate speech.
4?
Yeah.
4 books about yourself?
I think Obama's written like 4 about himself.
Yeah. I think he was president.
Yeah.
This is right. She tells about her strong, her humble beginnings and how she. You rode your husband's coattails. This great feminist leader rode the coattails literally to the top of the world. Yeah. Stepped off, became senator, and said, "Oh, all the work that she did to get there, and what an emblem of feminist strength." Yeah. God. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
Hillary.
Yeah.
Don't jail me.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Well, Chesterton will keep them at bay before they can come get to us. But the thing is, this thing about you're going to jail somebody for misinformation? Didn't we already say what misinformation was? Misinformation it's false, but it's unintentional. So you see something, and then before you can comment on it, share it, like it, anything, you've got to now go research it and find out if it's true? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, at the threat of jail time?
Come on, it's just crazy. And then hate speech. We've done hate speech a few times. Hate speech is so stupid because anything can be described as hate. If you say
hate speech is thought crime. Mm-hmm. So
yes.
What if you said something as a joke? well, he was really meaning it in a hateful way, even though he sounded like
it's a dog whistle.
Yeah, he was. Yes, so you're going to be prosecuted by what you were thinking when you said the speech.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and who is going to figure that out? We know this is what you really meant, but this problem of clamping down on speech seems to. I think you're right that it's partially a result of the internet and partially a result of AI, but it's also, I think, partially a result of COVID.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, with the COVID pandemic, and with, well, maybe the George Floyd angle isn't quite as pronounced, but with the COVID epidemic, you had
we lost our collective minds between the two of them.
Yes,
so,
but during that time, they felt like they had to control what people were saying, because you didn't want somebody promoting vaccine hesitancy, because if enough people didn't get the vaccine, it wasn't going to be, So there was a public policy justification for trying to limit.
That's the malinformation. It seems to me. It's like, actually, we don't really know if it's safe, but we
want people to believe
that. We can't say that because that's going to cut down on the number of people who are going to get it, or is it ivermectin or ivermectin?
Ivermectin, yeah.
Yes, we have to tell people not to use ivermectin, even though
it might work.
It might work because then they'll think that they don't need to get the shot, and we think everybody needs to get the shot over and over and over again. 6 boosts.
And and what we've done is we've anointed some small group of people to say, you're going to decide what's the right way to do everything. And anybody who says anything contrary to what you say this week, which might be different from what you said last week, anybody who says anything contrary to that is now a criminal who needs to be shut down. We need to force Facebook and Twitter and everybody else to censor what you're saying, and maybe we'll throw you in jail.
Yeah. Yes. So the government itself was spreading misinformation under the guise of malinformation.
Yes.
And all right. So let's move around the world a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to our closest, dearest friends, the declining, dying, falling England, Britain.
It makes me very sad.
It makes me very sad. I've never been there, but I still think of it as the motherland.
Yeah.
And the entire Anglosphere are the offspring of.
Yeah. There's problems in Ireland. There's problems in Australia. It's crazy.
New Zealand. Yep. So so now you have Facebook crimes.
Right.
You have.
If you went to a rally, and you
waved the flag too hard,
and posted something about the rally, you now can go to jail in England.
And the rally is about what the experience of increases in Muslim crime, and so actually people are not going to jail. Muslims are not going to jail for crimes. People complaining about Muslim crimes.
It's even worse than that. It's even worse than that. They're letting violent criminals out of jail
to make room
for the people who are saying things on Facebook.
How about that? Now, what I see coming, as I heard some hints of this, is they actually talked about extraditing.
Yeah.
So this is if you're an American,
I know
who makes comments on that.
That wacko from Scotland Yard said that he's going to come after Americans.
But what they could do. People do a background check on you when you apply for a visa.
Yeah.
What if they do a social media check on you?
Sure, yeah.
And they say...
And you quoted something from Tommy Robinson. You can't get a visa.
Yeah. Or Thomas Paine.
Right. Exactly.
Might be enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So any challenge to the administrative state in England could keep you out of the country.
Listen to this from Ireland. Lawmakers are working on legislation that would outlaw merely preparing or possessing material likely to incite violence or hatred against persons on account of their protected characteristics.
All right.
What does that mean?
That means just that. If you say, I don't want Sharia law in my country, and a Muslim says, I find that offensive, well, now you have disrupted the tranquility of the community, or whatever.
Right. You're inciting violence by saying that I don't want Sharia law, You're inciting violence against Muslims.
I don't like Muslim rape gangs.
Right.
Well, now you're going to get them mad, and now you have violated.
Right. And now they're going to come and break down your door and shoot your dog and arrest you and take your computer and try to find everything that you have and then throw you in jail and let a rapist out into the community to make room for you to put you in jail because you said something about Muslims that they didn't like.
All right, how about we'll go right across the channel to France?
Yeah.
And so Telegram, what is Telegram?
So Telegram is a communication service.
Like a WhatsApp kind of a thing?
That sort of thing. Yeah, that allows you to communicate, and it's supposed to be very secure. So the idea is that if you want to have a secure communication, nobody else can listen in, you use Telegram. But what that also means...
isn't that what we all want?
Yes. But what that also means is that Telegram can't control what's said either. So, unfortunately, that means that bad people will use it to say things.
Yes.
So you'll have, drug dealers and
if I'm looking for a hitman, maybe I could use it.
That's right, yeah. So, apparently, the government always wants a backdoor into all these things so that they can snoop, so that the FBI and everybody else can get in and see what's going on. And a lot of these technologies say, no, we're not going to give you that.
But isn't that what is used by protesters in Iran or China?
Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing, is people have a right to be able to say things privately. Yeah. I mean, the Supreme Court invented this whole right to privacy in terms of abortion, but we explicitly have a right to privacy with our speech. But they're trying to say no. The government has to be able to listen to everything you say.
Right. It's the right to privacy and the right to free speech. If you're in Get Smart's cone of silence with another person face to face, but if you're not doing it face to face, then it has to go through government channels.
Maybe that's what they're saying. I don't know. If you're using the airwaves or you're using, it gets into interstate commerce. I don't know what legal pretense they use for trying to get into that, but basically they want to be able to track down, if they have a suspect, they find out, here's this person that we think might be doing bad things. Right. We want to be able to get their entire digital footprint, everything that they've been saying, which somehow, curiously, never really works when it's, for example, a trans shooter who shoots up a Christian school. Somehow they're never able to get that information. No. Or when somebody tries to kill President Trump, somehow they're never able to get that information.
We don't know any. But this guy's internet life, the only 20-year-old in the country that doesn't have
no digital footprint at all.
No digital footprint at all, and we don't really need to even talk about him, his background, his family, or anyone else. While 2 weeks later, a kid who shoots in Georgia. We know about his family, his background. Exactly. The father's arrested.
Yeah, exactly. It's really so, and this is the problem of the whole reason we need free speech is precisely because of this. Because the government is going to twist things and bend things and cheat and bend the rules to further their interests, and people need to be able to call that out and say, no, this is not the way to do things. And if you had the government, if you have people, like apparently if you lived in Eastern Europe or in the Soviet Union, you understood there's a difference between indoor speech and outdoor speech.
Yes.
There are things you said over the soup at the dinner table, and once you walk out that door, there are things that you do not say because that's going to get you in trouble. And it's not only political things, it's all kinds of other things. But I don't want to live in that world where we have indoor speech and outdoor speech.
No, nobody does.
Yeah. And it's, unfortunately, that's what we're getting to. We're getting to the point that...
From the freest nations on the planet.
Yes. The West and the United States in particular. I mean, it's worse in Europe than it is
so let's go across the border to Germany.
Okay.
You can't call an MP fat. And
right.
Gab is what? Gab is also it's the same kind of thing as Telegram. And
yes, there's a lot of those communication things.
Yes, so they want all the information and all.
And anybody who says that this chick is fat,
who is objectively fat?
Yeah, I know.
She's fat.
Yes. And you're not allowed to say it, though.
Right? No, but is it? You're not allowed to say it. What about celebrities? What about your neighbor? What about that? Oh no, just people in government, in the right party. Those are the only ones you can't insult. Of course, you can insult these people.
Exactly. Yes.
And this is not. This is.
That's the most. That's the most crucial part of the First Amendment.
Calling a person who's smart dumb, that's just a regular insult.
Yeah.
This is more like a description.
Yeah, exactly. So we're talking, and there are these two. I can't remember one of them. One of them's fat. Now I'm going to go to jail.
Right. Yeah, there's the tall one and the fat one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, I know the fat one.
Jack Sprat could eat no fat.
Is that where?
Yeah, exactly. So this whole
this
idea,
is so petty. At least
not only is it petty, it violates the most fundamental reason why free speech is important, which is to criticize the government. That is the absolute most fundamental reason why free speech is important. Is we need to be able to criticize the government.
Right. See, all these other freedom of expressions, like somehow pole dancing has got bit into. But what they had in mind specifically, it's filtered out into other areas.
Yes.
Is criticism of the government.
Yes.
That was the whole. And then here you go criticism. Now in Switzerland, now we're just going to go over one country.
We're just taking a little walk.
Yeah. A writer got 60 days for calling a journalist a fat lesbian. Who is
a fat lesbian.
Openly a lesbian and probably proud of being fat in this new fatism.
But saying it.
But if you say it in a mean way,
it's hurtful.
Yes. If you said, you know what, I love nothing more than fat lesbians and you're the best. But if you say fat lesbian with a bad attitude, now that's 60 days.
Wow.
In Switzerland. So again...
What are you in for?
What are you in for? Right. That's all right. You won't be in there with any hardened criminals because they're going to let out to make room
for the people who are calling people fat lesbians. Yes.
Jeez. All right. I think we're going to have to go all the way across the Atlantic to Brazil.
Oh, Brazil, yeah.
Right,
and they're trying to ban X in Brazil because people are saying things that the Supreme Court down there doesn't like, and they want to tell X that you have to be able to censor this kind of speech in order to operate in Brazil.
So here, everybody, Bolsonaro was the previous conservative president.
Yeah.
It's been replaced by Lula? Something like that.
Okay.
Anyway, a liberal. And, like you do in South America, you come in and you ban the other party and you start locking up the other, but you use lawfare against... Thank God we don't have that.
Oh, no, here. Of course. Nobody would ever attempt to use the law against their political opponents.
Against their political opponents.
In the United States?
In the United States?
Never happened.
Shut up.
No, we have a Justice Department to make sure that doesn't happen.
To make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So that is what they want. They wanted to ban the accounts of elected leaders.
Right.
I mean, this is right. This is not the ban. This is not crazy people, or the Communist Party or something that's out there, or the Fascist Party. No. This is a duly elected.
They're not able to say what they want to be able to say.
Because
now, the best thing about the Brazil story, did you see the pictures of the outfits that the justices in the Brazilian court wear?
Where they look like Voldemort?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. They look like characters out of Harry Potter. It's really actually pretty amusing. But yeah, I mean this is becoming a worldwide problem. It's everywhere.
So X, you can't use X in Brazil,
right? And
there is a daily fine for using a VPN
to get to X.
Yeah.
And supposedly Elon Musk has threatened to use Starlink to give people access directly to X.
Good idea.
Yeah.
I saw something the other day. It's like Canada is now getting ready to spend a $3.4 billion program to put satellites up to get internet access to remote areas.
Right.
And the guy's like, you take the $3.4 billion and pay Starlink to provide it, right? This government-run program, you know how that's going to go. So this $3.4 billion will be 7. This 2-year project will be 8.
And they're also going to be reading everything that comes through. Yeah.
Right, and the government's going to...
Yeah.
So Elon Musk is the most remarkable man on the planet and the most important man of the 21st century. He has done, in a normal world where not everything is politicized,
Yeah.
you would celebrate the accomplishments from here to the moon. This SpaceX is unbelievable. SpaceX is going to go have to rescue NASA
Right.
astronauts. You got Starlink. I thought you said that electric cars was going to
More
save the
important.
planet.
That's right. Yeah.
And now he has created the industry by himself.
Yeah.
Did you see? He's been working on Neuralink.
Yeah.
That they've been approved for a device that will allow a person who was born without eyes
Wow. To see.
yes, tapped into the cerebral
nerve,
cortex.
yeah, right, yeah.
Yes. So, the Geordie vision.
Right.
The next thing is going to be solving.
Hey, wait a minute. You're giving me a Star Trek reference.
Yes, I win. But his accomplishments are minimized or ignored because he won't censor conservative voices.
It's a little more than that. He has moved away from the nutty liberal orthodoxy, and it's kind of like, I was thinking about this on the way up here. I was thinking about how people have sort of hierarchies of values. Like you value your family, and you value your country, and you value different things. And some people, like most people, if their child decides to root for a different football team, they're like, yeah, okay, you're still my child, I still love you. But some people are like so into their football team, that becomes a problem, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the liberals have this attitude
exactly what
if you depart from our way of looking at things, you're cut off. It's like the worst of the New England prudish congregationalist religious people. If you're not doing things exactly the way we want you to do things, you're cut off. We're going to shun you. You're not part of our thing anymore. And that's the way liberals behave, and that's the way they're treating Elon Musk.
And childish.
Yes.
And right, we're not going to let you sit at our table anymore.
Exactly.
Because
it's the mean girls.
Yes.
And why? I mean, this is so ridiculous.
You can't just. So you just saw that I bought that Stephen King book.
Yeah.
If I cared about what a Trump-hating kook.
I know, exactly. He's a Trump-hating kook. He's also an excellent writer.
Yes, so I say, guess what? He's a great writer.
Yes.
And I'm going to read it. Yeah, he's a Trump-hating. He's got TDS like nobody's business.
Yeah, he's a total kook.
But I'm going to write him out of my entire life because of that.
When you look at the difference between the way,
but that's what's going on here with this.
Yes, the way liberals treat their own and the way conservatives treat their own. Conservatives embrace. You have somebody like Dave. The guy, the gay man who sort of recently became kind of conservative, and he's got his...
Dave Rubin?
Rubin, thank you. So, Dave Rubin starts to act a little more conservative. Conservatives embrace him. They start talking to him, and they start having conversations. Do they agree with everything that he says? No, but they still, Joe Rogan. Does Joe Rogan agree with everything that conservatives say? No, but, we're willing to listen. We're willing to have these conversations. We're willing to understand what you say. Liberals, it's like, unless you sign on to our catechism.
These are the 15 points.
Yeah.
And if you...
And they're changing all the time, by the way.
Right. Yeah, yes.
Yes.
And you better keep up.
Yes.
But if you don't check one box...
If you're not willing to be in our club, 100%.
100%.
Yes. It's a cult. It's like Scientology. If you have to be 100% committed to our cult, or we're going to shun you and we're going to destroy you. And that's what they're doing with it. What has Elon Musk what has he done that makes liberals so upset with him?
Right. Not censor conservative voices.
Yeah. I thought they loved electric cars. He's made all of these electric cars. I don't know. It drives me nuts. So one of the things that I saw in this article on free speech we've talked about it a little bit. This whole question of inciting hatred and hate crimes. Has anybody come up with a definition of what that means to incite hatred, or what is a hate crime? It's a meaningless thing.
Yes.
It's totally. And then they come up with you can't refer to a group based on this whole list of characteristics and all the other kind of stuff, this standard liberal fare. And it's happening all over the place. You've mentioned England, Switzerland, Germany, France, Brazil, Ireland, Australia, Scotland.
Yeah.
It's getting crazy, and it's starting to infect the United States as well.
Well, none of these people actually have a constitution that contains something like freedom of speech.
That's right.
And
that's one of the things that protects us.
That's why we're better than everybody.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's move on here. Let's just say I like to end on an optimistic note, but I don't see...
Well, I do have one slightly optimistic.
I'll take it.
All right. Zuckerberg came out and said, yes, the government did tell us to censor people, which Alexander Mayorkas, or Alexandro, whatever his name is, explicitly denied under oath before Congress. That man should be in jail like 14 times.
Yeah.
But so Zuckerberg has said, yes, the government did pressure us into do things. We shouldn't do that anymore. Now, I don't believe Zuckerberg as far as I could kick him, but at least it's somewhat of a recognition that government censoring speech is not good, and we should move away from that.
And I've heard something about him saying, I'm not apologizing anymore. Now, I don't know what that was in reference to.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, it had to do with I'm not, I'm not going to be the government lapdog, and I'm not doing what they said, bowing to their threats.
Yeah.
Do our bidding, or we will
destroy you.
We'll break up the monopoly and whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to accept that.
Okay.
MOW, the man of the week.
Okay.
Now, the man of the week is often not a man. Sometimes it's a pet. Sometimes it's an organization.
Yes.
And
So sometimes it's a child.
Sometimes it's a child. Yeah. I think this week is going to be exploding pagers.
Okay.
This is a bit of genius.
Yeah.
Years in the planning that I can't. So my first fear was they have figured out how to overheat a battery to the point where it explodes. I'm like, well, then in the wrong hands, nobody is safe. And think about a car with a battery in it.
Yeah.
So that wasn't the case.
No.
And the second idea was, no. They intercepted this shipment from Taiwan.
Right. Yeah, and that turned out not to be true either.
It turns out they just straight up built them.
And they used a shell company out of Hungary or something like that. Yeah.
Which was also, so the Taiwanese company contracted a company in Hungary.
Yeah. Which was the shell company for Mossad or somebody.
This is years in the making.
Yes, and it was well planned. And the idea was Hezbollah was concerned that the Jews those sneaky Jews were spying on their cell phone conversations. Yeah. So they said, let's use something less trackable. Let's use pagers. Yeah. So they said, okay, we're going to buy all these pagers and we're going to use that to communicate.
So the older technology would benefit them. I saw Babylon said they shipped out AOL CDs with 200 free hours on them. that exploded.
Yes. So it was an amazingly clever move to do this.
And you know that it is in the direct possession of people who are trying to get around this, who have been issued these by Hezbollah. These are not...
Exactly. The people who've been issued these pagers are precisely the people that Hezbollah is using to do their dirty deeds.
They were not They were not just sold in the local supermarket.
Exactly. They're not just indiscriminately handed out to everybody. However, there is a legit criticism of this, which is, okay, sure, you're getting the guy who has the pager. But the guy with the pager could be standing next to another person, a kid, or
he could say, "My pockets are so full while I am strolling my baby through town. which I'm sure a lot of Muslim men do push carriages around.
Right.
I'm going to put that in the baby carriage,
Yes.
and then so the criticism is this is terrorism because it indiscriminately targets civilians.
Okay. Yeah. I hate the fact that kids were harmed in this. I hate the fact that people who weren't the direct targets were harmed in this. That's terrible. But I don't know that there's a whole lot of ways around that. And also, let's put this in context.
Well, this is the context.
The context is kind of important because after Hamas, down on the south of Israel, brutally attacked, murdered, raped, slaughtered people on October 7th.
Intentionally killing civilians.
Yes, intentionally killing civilians in front of their family and everything else. I mean, it's just horrible.
Horrifying.
Hezbollah in the north decided to start, this is a good opportunity to start shelling Israel.
So tens of thousands of people had to move out of northern Israel.
They've just been launching missile after missile after missile into northern Israel. And they've killed, kids playing soccer and that sort of stuff.
And that is the goal.
Yeah,
this is the difference here.
It's totally
the relationship.
Yeah.
Or not the relation. The ratio.
Yes.
Of combatants to civilians.
Yeah.
Could not possibly be lower.
Right.
Maybe in all of human history.
Yeah.
Of how they avoided.
While
Hezbollah in Hamas, not only have they killed civilians, the goal is. Yeah. To kill civilians. Yeah. So yes, I am sorry if a child was killed, but this is war. You started it. Yeah. This could stop tomorrow. Yeah. And the genius. This is Bond level.
It's pretty amazing. It's pretty cool.
And then the next day, a bunch of walkie-talkies blew up.
I know. And how stupid do you have to be?
At this point, I wouldn't even turn on the microwave if I was a Hezbollah leader.
Yeah. So, yes, Hezbollah is indiscriminately killing people. They don't care if they're killing civilians. They actually want to kill civilians. Yes. Israel is trying to kill only Hezbollah operatives, and sometimes there's collateral damage, which is a shame, and it's horrible, and we want to limit that. But what do you want them to do? Are they supposed to just sit around and allow you to lob bombs into their country?
Right. And then you see people alive. The West could stop this tomorrow. The West is causing this. You know who could stop this tomorrow? Yeah. Hezbollah and Hamas.
Yes.
You stop lobbing bombs in the north, and you give back hostages, in the south, and it's over tomorrow. So, yes. All right. So just to end on a cheery note, how about a couple more memes?
Okay.
All right. I got a new.
I saw this one. This is a good one. So Hezbollah starting to think they shouldn't have gotten pagers from Levi Goldbromstein's Pager
Emporium. And then this one over here. Here's a Hasidic Jew on a walkie-talkie saying, "Initiate Operation Circumcision."
Yes.
Right, because I mean they're either in your hand or in your pocket. The damage that has been done is mostly hands and groins.
Yes.
And well, you know what? Look, this is a way to not kill people but keep them off the battlefield.
Yes. So there's this recurring meme that shows a picture of a pager with language on it. Have you seen some of those?
Yeah.
And one of them, I can't remember. It was, the Palestinians like to say from the river to the sea.
Yeah.
Did you see that one?
Yeah.
From the liver to the
knee.
To the knee. From the liver to the knee. It's horrible. I don't want people to be maimed and all this. I'd rather there be peace and everybody get along.
Be maimed. But I'm sorry about the civilians.
Yes. But yeah. Way to go, Israel.
Anyway, yes,
clever.
massage and the pager.
Cheers. Thanks so much for listening to Beer and Conversation with Pigweed and Crowhill. Remember to visit us at pigweedandcrowhill.com or send us an email at pigweedshow@gmail.com.